we must apply downward pressure, further downward pressure on that upward curve by closing the schools.
It was his nightmare scenario that became the waking reality for millions of children. And today, 5 years on, Boris Johnson is back at the COVID inquiry to give evidence on how his decisions impacted young people.
Was the loss of education a disaster? Yes. Was the loss of exams a disaster? Yes. Was the disappointment, anger, frustration of a large number of kids, the additional frustration, a disaster? Yes, it was. But it has to be seen in the context of us trying to deal with a much, much bigger disaster.
The inquiry's previously heard criticism from some in the Department for Education about the government's failure to plan early for school closures. But this is something Mr. Johnson pushed back on.
I'm not inclined to accept the idea that people fell down gravely in their duty. I think people were overwhelmed by the speed of events, and when the facts changed, they had to change policy, and I had to change policy.
And we heard more about the fiasco around exam grades in the summer of 2020, with an algorithm downgrading students' results. That left the then PM in a homicidal mood, so much so that he considered sacking his Education Secretary, Sir Gavin Williamson.
All I would say is that, you try coming up with a system to give a fair exam result for people when they can't sit exams. It's not easy, OK?
Boris Johnson began early on with an apology accepting responsibility for mistakes his government made, but he was keen to push back against some of his toughest criticism in questioning, speaking a lot of hindsight and trying to remind the chair and the lawyers gathered how difficult the challenge was dealing with the COVID pandemic. As he left at lunchtime, campaigners and bereaved families chanted, "Shame on you," at the former Prime Minister.
So this is a letter from a child in one of our families. She was 8 years old.
So she says here, "Mum, stay away from me." I mean, that's heartbreaking.
When I spoke to the inquiry at the very beginning of this module, I explained to them that there were options available. Of course, we're equally concerned about safeguarding children. We're concerned that those children should have access to education, but they should have had safe access to education.
This inquiry is all about learning lessons from a time when our leaders faced a series of impossible choices. Few decisions, however, will have as long-lasting an impact as those which affected and even harmed our children. Rachel Venables, Sky News in Paddington.